Zhao Long joins us now. He's a senior research fellow at the Center for Russian and Central Asia Studies. It was 10 years ago in Astana when President Xi talked about the Belt and Road Initiative for the very first time. Here we are 10 years later. It has really reshaped Central Asia, hasn't it? Give us an idea of its impact.
Well, I think, as you mentioned, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the BRI initiative, and the summit is located in Xi'an, as you noted. This is also the starting point of the ancient Silk Road. So I think there are many eye-catching cooperation projects was initiated and proposed during the summit. Especially, there paid a lot of more attention on the construction of China Central Asian Transportation Corridor, and also the China Central Asia Energy Development Partnership. In particular, those projects such as China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan Railway, and the D-line construction of the China Central Asian natural gas pipelines. I think those projects will amplify the role of Central Asian countries as the hub of connecting the two major markets of Asia Pacific and Europe, and will become the new starting point of the construction of the BRI in general.
It's so interesting. Let's talk about the summit itself. Xi called for a stable, prosperous, harmonious, and connected Central Asia. He's also calling for a deepening and connectivity, and you already kind of described how that might take shape. So here we are 10 years out. Where do you see this going in perhaps the next 5 years, 10 years? Where are the opportunities?
Well, there's a lot of, I think, the areas that we could deepening the cooperation. And you may notice that the one of the major outcome or the meaningful outcome of this summit is the mechanism building. So we have officially established the so-called mechanism for meeting among those heads of state, which become the very first top-level dialogue platform among those various C5+1 mechanisms. So there will be a discussion about establishment the ministerial meetings in key areas, the permanent secretariat, and so on. I think those, the mechanisms will serve the strong fundament for those further economic cooperation in those practical areas. So I also think the one of the key areas for us to further our cooperation, of course, is the explore the possibility of high-tech cooperation, the regional food security, and energy cooperation. So I think we have already created such a complementary and win-win cooperation framework, which will add the new impetus to the development of 6 countries in the future.
Yeah, it's so interesting as you describe it. You know, it starts out as infrastructure, then it's almost like an octopus with tentacles going in a lot of different directions as you just described it. One of the other things that was discussed, and maybe you can maybe talk a little bit about this as well, and it's not something you think about when you think about, you know, business ties and economics and stuff. This talk of a cultural Silk Road, cultural expansion, and expansion of tourism. There's other avenues of growth as well, aren't there?
Yeah, I think we are trying to establish the more, measures to ease the visa applications for China and Central Asian countries, and to boost so-called the tourism cooperation between our country. As you know, those 5 Central Asian countries are very rich in those historical sites and cultures, which will attract, I believe, a lot of Chinese tourists to visit. I think this kind of a cultural exchange, people-to-people exchange, of course, also will improve our economic and the trade cooperation, and especially to be the additions or the complementary to those political and the security cooperation as well.
Zhao Long, thank you so much for your insights and analysis. Appreciate it.
Thank you.